This was the week where West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin once again proved he's the aging pop star of Congress, trying to stay relevant by playing both sides of the aisle in the same way that Madonna kissed both Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera at the 2003 VMAs. And in that analogy, Democrats are clearly Christina Aguilera. Total short end of that stick, man. Nobody cared. This week, Manchin said that his recommitment to the very imaginary center was spurred by Trump supporters' January 6th attack on the Capitol. Take a look.
January 6th changed me, and I was very clear with everybody. I never thought in my life, I never read in history books to where our form of government had been attacked at our seat of government, which is Washington, D.C., at our capital by our own people. Now, the British did it, but not Americans. So something told me, wait a minute, pause, hit the pause button, something's wrong. You can't have this many people split to where they want to go to war with each other.
So that is his rationale for why we need to work together as Republicans and Democrats. See, Joe Manchin isn't a partisan hack, you guys, okay? He wanted the mob to hang Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi, all right? And it wasn't the months of lies about a stolen election that led to divisions. It was the Democrats who couldn't just share the presidency. Just share it.
It's such a, I mean, so partly it's like before January 6th, he said that he opposed ending the filibuster, and he opposed the Green New Deal, and he opposed Medicare for all, and he opposed the $15 an hour minimum wage. But then January 6th changed him, and he still opposes all those things, but for different reasons. So, and it's so depressing that, there was this like massive effort to turn out voters and elect Joe Biden president and enact an agenda and change things and solve our fundamental problems. And it turns out that we just made Joe Manchin the president, because of how the filibuster works. Because 6 fucking oil barons in Appalachia are like, no, we don't want a Green New Deal. Then the rest of us can't have it because of how the filibuster works in the Senate. So Joe Manchin wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post this week about the filibuster, and he said. And he said, I have always said if I can't go home and explain it, I can't vote for it. So we're stuck with garbage because Joe Manchin is bad at explaining stuff to people in West Virginia. I'm sure that Joe Manchin listens to the Bitchuation room, and so I will volunteer to do it. I will volunteer on his behalf to go to West Virginia. Let's make it a reality show. Left-wing Jew from San Francisco is ready to roam Appalachia, explaining socialist politics to the people of West Virginia, and we'll film it. We'll be able to fund the Green New Deal that way. And it'll be very entertaining.
Yeah, Netflix views will absolutely fund the Green New Deal. First of all, it's coal barons, Nato. Okay, Appalachia, coal.
What did I say?
Oil? I feel like that's a little off.
Did I say oil? I meant coal.
You meant, yeah, exactly. Get it straight. Get your fossil fuels together. No, he did write this op-ed, you guys. I don't know if you read it. And he said, my favorite part of it, in addition to that he couldn't explain stuff, was that he said, if we change the filibuster, the reason we're in problems now is because we've been changing the filibuster. And if we change it now, quote, our nation may never see stable governing again. And I'm like, buddy, do you know where you work? Is this day one? Are you just getting your, acquainted with the Senate chambers? Here, let me show you where the Senate chamber meets. Oh, sorry. It's been overrun by a mob, radicalized by the Republican Party into believing that Democratic votes don't count. Oops, didn't check in with that. I love this take from Harold Meyerson of The American Prospect, writing in response to this filibuster bipartisan BS that Manchin said he's now not supporting reforming or changing the filibuster. he writes, the filibuster was and is an effect of polarization, not its cause. If Manchin could actually discern the difference, he'd note that the steadied rightward gallop of the GOP has eliminated the middle ground on which bipartisan could sometimes take root. And that rightward gallop has been spurred not by the filibuster, but by the growth of counterfactual right-wing media and even more counterfactual right-wing social media, the counterfactual presidency of Donald Trump, and the growing racial, gender, religious, and cultural intolerance within the Republican base, fearful of the decline of white male Christian traditionalist hegemony and the apocalyptic stoking of those fears by Republican politicians and media. The end.
Tell it.
Hell yeah. It's just, I love though, like his idea. You see him in this interview, right? The interview we just played for you. He's so clueless. He's so unsure of like who he's playing to, why he's playing to them, whether it's helping his brand, you know, does he need to start a TikTok? Like, you know, he's just sort of stabbing in the dark. And yeah, I don't think he's explained anything to West Virginians in a long time.
Yeah, I always like, occasionally I play this game of like the follow-up question that I wish a reporter would ask.
Yes.
And the follow-up question I wish a reporter would ask Joe Manchin is, have you, in your 30 years in elected office, ever met a single voter who said, my number one priority for government, the one thing that I want the most is bipartisanship? Like, like that's not, no one cares. Like people don't want bipartisanship. People want problem solved.
Yes.
And, you know, and so.
Or what about the filibuster? Like, hey, sir,
right.
excuse me. Look, I can't put food on the table, but
I'm really concerned about Senate
we gotta
rules.
Be protected.
I'm really concerned about who's going to vote for cloture. That's what I'm worried about.
What about budget reconciliation?
I have the black lung, but what about that cloture vote? It's like, what are you talking about?
I can't reconcile my finances, but who will reconcile the budget? Like, yeah, no, it doesn't happen. And that's the thing, obviously, if you guys don't know, the filibuster is, you know, the cock block of progress. It is preventing everything from H.R. 1, voting rights protection, to the PRO Act, supporting unionization in the country. Anything we want passed somehow goes through Joe Manchin's thick, empty skull. That's what we've decided. Have you become a patron yet? Patreon.com/bitchuationroom is where you can directly support this show and help me make it sustainable so that I can do more of what I do best. Doing this.